Another theme that I noticed, Everton have come up quite a lot. We had a Cookie come in again talking about Everton, saying that Everton are pretty much going down. Danjuma not enough to save them, and potentially spending £15 million on Che Adams, who's essentially a Championship striker, not a Premier League striker. And Cookie is a Southampton fan, so if anyone's going to know about Che Adams, it will be Cookie. And Keeney has also come in saying Everton are in big trouble. And this is an interesting one for me. They need a manager that can get them playing attacking football rather than one that's defensive-minded and lets teams come onto them constantly. Now, we've seen this with Everton in the past where they've gone for these types of like your Marco Silvas, your Ronald Koemans, your Roberto Martinez, people like that, and it's never really quite worked out for them. They've actually gone sort of, well, they had a more defensive-minded manager, obviously, with Benitez. Now they got Dyche in. But what are your thoughts on that? Because I thought against Fulham, they were quite unlucky. Like, you look at the XG they put up against Fulham, like, it's just Neil Maupay or any of the Everton players couldn't hit a barn door to save their lives. But they did look, I mean, I didn't catch the full game, but I saw the highlights for the Everton Villa game, and they were absolutely atrocious. And not a performance you'd expect from a Sean Dyche team.
It was, from what I saw, because I didn't watch the entire game, but from what I've seen from highlights and extended clips and things, they looked an absolute shambles. And I think that's going to be a performance like that is going to be the exception rather than the rule with the Sean Dyche team. Because I think he said in an interview, like, he'd have subbed them all off at half time if he could. Like that's just not going to fly. Whilst it's all well and good saying they need to find someone who's going to attack, with what players? Like, they've got a team which is like a really solid, like some really good defenders in there, like solid midfielders who can put in a shift. Like a team that is suited to a Dyche style system. And like, if anyone knows how to get the most out of, I don't want to say a weak squad, but like get the most out of what he's got and put in a solid defensive performance and do enough to survive. And let's be honest, Everton, with all their financial issues, the player issues, they can't really sign anyone.
No.
There's like an investigation against them at the minute where they might even get a points deduction, and like we'll see what happens with that. I think that's the kind of manager that you want in that situation, where it's going to be playing the percentages, doing everything you can to try and be as solid as possible, rather than going, all right, well, let's attack with Neil Maupay. You know, like there's only so many chances you can create for him without him scoring. And like Leno for Fulham put in another performance like he was last year, where he was just a brick wall in goal.
Yeah,
like you say, I think they were unlucky against Fulham, and it was a shambolic performance. But let's not forget, against the team that me and you were tipping for a top four point, like it's a very good team, and it was a rubbish performance. I'd say that is, like I say, the exception rather than the rule. Obviously, time will tell. It's very early to say, but I think they were putting in some decent performances at the end of last year. And again, if they had someone who could put the ball in the back of the net, then they might have been more secure, because I think they kind of survived because everyone else was worse than them last year.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think,
I was just going to say with the Che Adams thing, like, yeah, he might not be an elite Premier League striker, but he's scored some goals for South in a very poor Southampton side, and I think if they just have someone, Everton, who can get them 10 goals even.
I was going to say 10 goals. 10 goals would be enough.
That could be the difference.
And I think as well, because I know Dyche has been, I don't know if he's been playing so up top with Everton. I doubt he has been, just because they haven't had the strikers probably to play so up top. But if he can get him up alongside Maupay maybe, and just have someone to occupy, to keep defenders busy, and that sort of opens up a little bit more time and space for Maupay, it might benefit him more in the long run. But like you say, if Adams can come in and get you 10 goals, that could be the difference between staying up or going down.
Especially as well with, I mean, obviously DCL's just picked up another injury. But luckily, like, because I didn't watch the game, when I heard he was injured again, I thought, oh, is his knee gone again? Or like his hamstring. Kind of almost a good sign that it wasn't that, but it looks like he's broken his cheekbone, so not that good.
That's just unlucky. Like, like when it's like, that's Andy Carroll syndrome right there. It's like, if it's not as near his ankle, it's like something else will happen. It will just be like, oh, he'll get this injury now to a different part of his body, but it will be the worst case scenario, and he'll be out for months regardless.
Yeah.
Like,
I wonder whether he's going to do the whole Zorro mask thing and come back in. Like,
he could pull it off. I think.
Well, we'll see, because he's one of the strikers that I think, when I think of a Sean Dyche striker, I think of DCL, like big, physical, quick, like he'll stick his head anywhere, which is why he got his face broken. So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So if they can get Che Adams into, like you say, get 10 goals and maybe get DCL back in second half of the season, or maybe a bit sooner if he does wear a mask or whatever. I still think they'll be the lower end of mid-table, flirting with a relegation battle, but maybe get themselves pulled out of it. But I think there's a lot of teams in that that could do that.
Yeah.
And I think a poor run could see them get pulled right into that relegation playoff.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be interesting if they can do anything between now and the end of the transfer window. I guess we'll have to. I guess time will tell on that one.